It's practically inevitable. Every boy band comes to an end, but One Direction's ending was a little more complicated than fans initially knew, and the cracks in the foundation were there from the very start. Much of our information about why One Direction broke up comes from Zayn Malik, who left the group in March 2015. His departure came less than 2 months into the group's On the Road Again tour, supporting their fourth and final album as a quintet, the aptly titled Four. That trek saw the band playing 80 shows all over the world from February to October. A journey like that would exhaust any performer, and Malik was the first to say that he couldn't handle it anymore. At the time, a representative for Malik cited stress and anxiety as reasons why he left One Direction. The group's Facebook announcement quoted the singer as saying, "I have to do what feels right in my heart. I am leaving because I want to be a normal 22-year-old who is able to relax and have some private time out of the spotlight."
There's certain parts of this job that Zayn loved and there's certain parts of the job that he didn't.
These feelings had been bubbling since One Direction's beginning. The band was more or less fashioned into existence in 2010 after each young man auditioned as a solo artist for X Factor. They were basically kids, with Louis Tomlinson being the oldest at 18. One Direction continued as a quartet after Malik left and even put out another studio album, Made in the AM, in November 2015. But by January the next year, the group was done. After Zayn left One Direction, it didn't take long for his bandmates to follow suit, but remaining members Harry Styles, Niall Horan, Louis Tomlinson, and Liam Payne went about exiting the group in a more prolonged, orderly fashion. They either procrastinated as long as possible or pushed as quickly as they could within the limits of their contracts. In August 2015, the group announced that they'd be taking a 1-year hiatus starting in March the following year. Even then, plenty of people weren't buying the "we're taking a break" argument. As one fan on X wrote, "Well, Zayn went on a break and never came back." In response, Niall said on X, "Okay, so lots of rumors going around. We are not splitting up, but we will be taking a well-earned break at some point next year." Intentionally or not, One Direction's hiatus did prove a means of escape for its members. Louis was the most reluctant to leave the group, telling the Sunday Times he was, quote, "mortified and bitter." But in hindsight, it seems like a split that was bound to happen. While Zayn initially said he left One Direction in pursuit of normalcy and privacy, different reasons for his departure have surfaced in recent years. It took all the way to 2023 for Zayn to reveal more details to host Alex Cooper on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Malik told Cooper that he and the other members of One Direction had gotten, quote, "sick of each other" by the time he left. He elaborated by saying that he noticed a lot of political moves going on within the band that indicated to him the end was near.
Certain people were doing certain things, certain people didn't want to sign contracts, so I knew something was happening.
Malik said he saw proverbial writing on the wall, or at least accepted it earlier than the other band members. Of course, his choices weren't without consequences and may have built more resentment than the band first let on. In 2022, the late Liam Payne spoke out about Zayn specifically on the Impulsive with Logan Paul podcast.
I don't agree with any of his actions. I can't commend some of the things that he's done.
Each member of One Direction launched their own solo musical career following the group's breakup. On Call Her Daddy, Zayn said that he wanted to be the first member of the group to pursue a solo project.
I'm a passive dude, but when it comes to my music and my business, I'm serious about it and I'm competitive.
Since he left the earliest, he did get there first and released his solo album, Mind of Mine, in March 2016. Louis, one of One Direction's chief songwriters, went on to put out 2 solo albums despite his reluctance to leave the group. Niall also came into his own and has put out 3 albums since One Direction broke up. Payne struggled the most, but he still released 1 album before his passing in October 2024. And then of course there's Harry, who's had no problem whatsoever hitting it big on his own. It turns out Zayn wasn't the only member of One Direction who wanted some time out of the public eye. In 2021, Niall spoke with British TV presenter Dermot O'Leary about the hysteria One Direction invoked in fans. Recalling how fans would bang on car windows and appear en masse at their press events, he explained that it was hard for him to wrap his head around such an intense reaction.
Now I completely get it. Yeah. But at the time, you're like, you're our age, just let us out, we just want to walk down the street.
Other band members weren't happy with the band for various reasons. As early as 2015, Zayn told Fader that One Direction's music was generic. In a 2017 interview with Rolling Stone, Harry mentioned being exhausted from One Direction's relentless schedule and not wanting to disappoint fans. He was also worried about overexposure, saying, "I didn't want to exhaust our fan base." Only Louis has spoken with unabashed positivity about his time in One Direction, saying in a 2020 Rolling Stone interview, "I love the boys, and I love everything we've done together."